Hi everybody, this is Steve Richards. I'm one of the pastors at Messiah Church, and I'm trying this Facebook Live without my usual tech support, and it's also a windy morning here, so my apologies if this is difficult for you to see or to hear. But for the past week I've been doing a lot of reading, and I've been doing a lot of listening to voices speaking about racial justice and reconciliation. And I made my own trip to the intersection of 38th and Chicago, which has become a sacred space for many of the Twin Cities who long for justice. And as a result, I've been thinking about bridges. Now, there are bridges that simply serve as a means to get from point A to point B. Some are architectural wonders, some are things of beauty, and I usually take them for granted. I don't pause before crossing a bridge to try to consider all the things that it took for that bridge to get there. I'm just glad it's there. And this morning I came out to one of my favorite bridges here, which is the Stone Arch Bridge on the north side of downtown Minneapolis. Construction began on that bridge in 1881 and was completed 22 months later in 1883. Originally a railroad bridge, it's now a walking and biking pathway across the Mississippi River. A bridge that I enjoy crossing several times every summer. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to describe how this particular bridge got here, but I went on the internet last week and I learned about what it takes for a bridge like this to be constructed. And it's complicated. It takes a lot of planning and a strong foundation, but if it's done right and there is the right investment of resources, it can stand for, well, 135 years or more. And if you go to Europe, you can find bridges that were constructed during the Roman Empire that are still standing 2,000 years later. Now, Webster tells us that a bridge is a structure that provides a pathway to overcome a depression or an obstacle. And if the 2.5 weeks have shown us anything, life is not as good or as just as we may have thought it was. It just isn't the world that we thought it was. We have problems, deep-seated problems, and we need bridges. Millions of them. Even having 300 million bridges in this country would not be too many. Now, the kind of bridge I'm talking about is a bridge that takes us from where we are right now to God's preferred vision. God's preferred vision of a world where each person is loved and each person is treated as a person that God loves. Now, we're not there yet, which is why we need bridges. And God needs each one of us to be a bridge. I mean, to be a bridge is to stand in the gap between where we are in this moment and God's preferred vision. And it's in the gap where God can use us to do God's greatest work. And I realize I only have one short life to live, so why not let God use me to do God's greatest work in me? Now, one of the problems with being a bridge is that people will walk all over you. I mean, just look at what they did to Jesus. In his first sermon, he went back to his hometown and he talked about them, about pushing, changing the status quo, a call to justice, and they almost killed him. And so he left his hometown, and for the next 3 years, He showed a group of 12 what justice and compassion looked like. And yes, one of them betrayed him, one denied him. The other 10 ran off when Jesus' life was on the line. But 2,000 years later, we still have his blueprint of what bridge building can be. And we have a God who is ready to empower us to do the hard work of comforting the afflicted and afflicting the comfortable. We forget that much of what Jesus had to say was to push the status quo, push us out of our comfort zone. And if we're feeling comfortable, now is not the time to turn away from the conversation. Now is the time to listen. Now is the time to learn. Now is the time to let God change me. And there's not a single one of us on this planet that doesn't need change. We need bridge builders. See, in your work, don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. God never has. And God is counting on. Thank you for joining me. Hope you'll join me again next Wednesday. God bless.